Howdy, welcome to Scott and Michael's brand new show called Elder Scrolls 6 Black Marsh. What we want in it. Yeah. Alright. Alright, first, we want to allow... Is this general notes?
Huh? No,
Yes, what-
don't worry, just go to the paragraphs. It's just there to assist you.
Alright, first notes, it'd be a brand new environment. It's relatively large, Black Marsh, roughly-ish about the size of Skyrim. You'll have swamps, dense sort of rainforesty kind of areas, a really sort of wet, exotic, foresty-looking environment, plenty of creatures. You could have, like, fucking frogs, Beetles, worms, just lots and lots of really creative, exotic stuff, like Morrowind again. Because when you
Alien, but different.
yeah, Alien. And from what we've seen from the ESO architecture and stuff,
Which we haven't seen a lot of, but we've seen it.
and like especially their armors and stuff, it seems very South American tribe inspired and Aztec and Mayan influence kind of stuff.
So you want
going
weapons based off that?
Yeah.
Kukri machetes, blowpipes,
Yeah.
darts.
But just to suggest, like a war axe, for example, could be look more like a tomahawk, for example, in this instance. But another little quick side thing, with all the alien armors and weapons and equipment, it doesn't always suit the particular character you're role-playing. But if you go back to something like Morrowind, you remember there was all this alien stuff, but then there was still the Western-influenced stuff, like the steel armors looked very
Knightly.
Yeah, knightly and stuff, and they just look pretty standard fare. So you could have iron and steel in that be very
Bland. Well, not bland.
but just
not exotic looking, but then have things like glacé
yeah
that look really alien and Aztec.
and new and brand new.
Yeah,
types
like
of
how they
armors.
had match leather.
Yeah,
armor
and
stuff
bone
in
mold and all that.
The other thing is very interesting demographic in terms of the races in the area. So it's completely dominated by beast races, of course, mainly Argonians. But if you're playing any race really, even if you are an Argonian, you'll still feel like an outsider, as you did in Morrowind, even if you played a Dark Elf, because obviously you would have come from another province, crossing the border or whatever cliche thing they want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, walk into a bar.
Quick little suggestion about just the beginning. It could definitely be something like... Because you know how those big Imperial fort prisons, like Black Marsh, when it was under Imperial control, was renowned for its prisons. It was essentially used for prisons to house the worst of the worst criminals. You could be a prisoner in one of them, but it's taken over. The Argonian government could still be using them as prisons, even though there'd be no Imperials there anymore because they seceded from the Empire after the Oblivion Crisis. But another thing to deal with, people often talk about, Black Marsh in the center, it's too dangerous and stuff for elves and humans to live. But I don't think that exactly insinuates that
you can't.
It's just very hard. So you'd need things like cure poison or like spells and stuff to prevent this kind of stuff if you weren't Argonian.
It'd be plants and wildlife everywhere that's just really annoying if you're not an Argonian. Walk out. Like, you know when you go in Oblivion Gate in Oblivion, and I forget the name of the...
Yeah, the poison stuff.
The plants and they latch out and hit you.
But yeah, stuff like that. Have it so it doesn't have to be this restricting mindset. And the further you go into the center, obviously the less...
inhabitable.
The less NPCs you'll see that are of other races. They'll be more pure Argonian. Perhaps you might see some ballsy orc mercenary or something in there working for one of the governments or whatever, or the tribes, etc.
And of course, higher level creatures the further you go.
Yeah. Also, perfect chance for diverse and weird sort of magic, make some more unique kind of magic. Of course, like within the school
stuff.
Yeah, a real shaman kind of tribal vibe. But a quick point about, we mentioned this in the Elder Scrolls 6 video about race diversity, but definitely if you bring back immunity to poison and resistance to disease for Argonians, it makes perfect sense for their ability to live within the inner sections of Black Marsh and so on. It will give them that advantage.
Especially water breathing.
Yeah.
So, other races would have to either cast water breathing spells or bring the potions, but if you're an Argonian, you don't need any of that. You can just swim through wherever you need.
Another key difference would be it would have a really ancient, untouched, prehistoric vibe. Like, because the Imperials never got to conquer the inner parts. Like, it was very untouched. It would be all pure Argonian influence. There'd be no Imperials or Imperial architecture or anything on the outside, so it would be absolutely utmost alien in the center.
Really ancient.
Yeah, and that would be a really good vibe. And stuff that, like, it would uncover a lot about the lore that you don't know, and, like, the secrets of the Hist and so on. There's a lot of good potential in there.
Speaking of the Hist, the customization as well needs to be upgraded a lot. So depending on how much Hist sapstory they ingest as a child or a baby, depends how reptilian they look when they're an adult. So on a spectrum of like human to complete lizard, amphibian, they reside somewhere along there, depending on how much Hist sap
because the tribes, if you go to the wiki and stuff, and whether this is still canon or not, because some of this stuff is made in previous games and so on, but Argonians are supposed to look different as a general rule as well, depending on their sort of area, too. Like, a lot of the tribes are somewhat look distinguished. Some of them more sort of sleek and lizardy, some of them even more toadish, perhaps, or more fish-like. But that kind of stuff.
They completely got rid of the fins and gave them feathers for Skyrim.
Well, they have feathers and horns, and I think you can have some.
No, are you sure? I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
but they didn't here. So,
fins.
But they have ones with fins and horns and feathers in different areas and so on, and that'd be nice.
Different demographics. What else we got?
But yeah, plot-wise, like we said, you'd unravel a lot between of the lore regarding the Hist and the Argonians and the connection and so on. And
a lot of lore regarding Black Marsh isn't discovered.
And a lot,
known. It's mysterious.
The history of the Argonians themselves is very clouded. It's sort of just like, there were lizard men. Because Khajiit and Argonians, exact history is very unknown. Elves, we sort of know that they came from Aldmeris, and humans from Atmora, and the Red Guards from Yakuta, and so on. But it's a very... besides that, they're a very ancient prehistoric race that were there. They have no connections to man or mer. It's a very interesting race, and it's the best opportunity to uncover a lot about their history.
It would sort of take you away from the Thalmor experience, wouldn't it?
Probably a bit, but you
could still weave it in, but I'd be completely happy without it.
Yeah,
I'd be so I would not even care. That can just stay unfinished and later.
Yeah,
just new game completely.
It also other thing. It would also detract from any possibility of people wanting Dwemer stuff. Dwemer stuff's all up in the northern regions of Tamriel.
But there'd be new things like dungeons, like you said, Imperial.
Yeah, some of the more new creative stuff. A bit of innovation might be nice, because sometimes you feel like, you want to learn the Dwemer. You want to learn the secret and stuff. But half of the stuff that's so intriguing about them is the mystery behind them as well.
And there's tons of mystery in Black Marsh.
Yeah, that they can uncover. Factions, yeah.
Assassin's Guild, Dark Brotherhood, something like that. Shadow Scale Guild, perhaps one that you could join only if you're an Argonian.
Yeah, more consequence depending on your faction, so depending on your race, when joining factions and so on, as long as there's multiple options, of course.
Not too many that's complicated. I mean, one or the other. You could have a Morag Tom Guild even on the northern fringes of Black Marsh. You can only join if you're a Dark Elf, just per se.
Yeah, but they should uncover a lot more about the Shadow Scales and history, and perhaps also, because of that connection with Sithis and stuff, even learn more about Sithis and so on.
Because Skyrim sort of just... they did it differently. They took it out of the traditional Dark Brotherhood.
Because it was like you're rebuilding the fragments of the Dark Brotherhood guild in that sort of time. You're trying to make a name for yourself again. But instead, it'd be nice to have a nice established guild where you could learn the religious sort of assassination history and all that kind of jazz.
Magic-based guild as well, like we said, just really shaman-like, just different. Outdoors, tense, viney areas.
Don't have some big, beautiful, arcane, mystic-looking college. Have it as a very primal creation vibe of magic
sacrifice, and like the Hagraven sort of feel. Not obviously not.
And then have like these, and the areas they're in are these big, beautiful sort of mushroomy swamp jungle kind of things with fireflies around and glowing shit and and like really
Good stuff.
but
Different.
very very alien, not traditional wizardy kind of thing. One other thing, only other problem I could see with this is just being in Black Marsh. There are sort of
Languages.
languages. I'll get to that in a sec. But talking about how the Argonians, they might not meld as well because the Argonians are so reclusive and stuff. You are definitely going to be treated as an outsider. Typically, I think they would treat it the same as like Morrowind, if it was. Whereas even if you were a Dark Elf, you're still treated as an outsider Dark Elf, like born in the provinces or whatever. But you're going to feel very outsider. It might be an interesting vibe for the game, but because it's going to be mainly Argonians and the heavy other races, NPCs like orcs and elves and all that will mainly hang around the fringes. So quick little side note too, pirates are also renowned in the southern parts of Black Marsh and stuff, and they had problems with them in the first and second eras and so on. That'd be great to explore a real pirate vibe down there, so they've got like their hidden pirate coves in the swamps of the south and so on.
Yeah.
But like Michael mentioned a second ago, was language would be interesting to hear NPC Argonians, especially as you get closer into the center, talking in Saxheel. I think that's how you pronounce it, but the language that only Argonians can speak, like the very like weird
Throaty
chirps
sounds.
and throaty weird things and so on. But it would be weird to see that. So you just imagine you're walking into a some sort of den or like inn kind of
Whatever
thing.
they call their pub.
And then you walk in and you just hear these lizards talking, and then you get close, and then they tell you to piss off outsider kind of thing.
They switch to English as soon as you come. Or
Yeah, but then they continue their language. They're talking
to themselves in their own language
as they go. But have and then obviously have the more Saxheel use deeper within Argonia or Black Marsh or whatever. But on the outside, they
And
speak.
on a final side note, it would also be great to introduce beast race children.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have beast race children, it's really not immersive. Everyone's an Argonian. Well, most people are an Argonian, so Argonian children better be present. You don't want a country of Argonians with little white kids running around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's a solid idea. The only, just to play devil's advocate, the only things I could see wrong with it, like we talk about how it'd be nice to really pan out the history and stuff, but some of the appeal of the Argonians might be their mystery and like Black Marsh. But if they revealed all of Black Marsh and so on, it might sort of take a bit of the mystery out of it. But then again, it allows you to really immerse yourself in it. Like, then to play devil's advocate once again, if you're never going to find out what Black Marsh is like, that's kind of going to suck. Like, you can't expect Elder Scrolls to go on for fucking 40 years.
They could do it in a decent way, where you find out a lot, but not enough to just ruin it.
Yeah, and provoke mystery and stuff too. Like,
Satisfy the small parts of mystery.
We're going on for a bit of tangent here, but what was interesting about Morrowind and stuff was the sort of inconsistency of the witnesses and or the accounts of the past history with like Vivek and all that. Like, it could have been that they murdered Nerevar, or they betrayed him, or it could have been that he died and so on. There's a bit of like there's a bit shrouded mystery. Yeah, because history is not certain ever. And it's only there's contradictions all the time and so on. But have a bit of that and like a bit of shrouded mystery and so on. Like, yeah.
Alright, so that's it.
Yeah.
That concludes the Elder Scrolls 6 in Black Marsh video. We hope you liked it. You can share it if you want, like it, subscribe if you haven't.
Subscribe.
See you later.
See you.